So I played Remnant from the Ashes from start to finish multiple times, beat it on multiple difficulties. So I thought I'd give you guys my Remnant from the Ashes review and share details about this game and give you a good idea whether or not it's something you would really enjoy. Hey guys, this is Chris with B&B Gaming. Welcome back, and I hope you're doing awesome today. Thank you for taking the time to check out this video, and thank you for supporting me with your likes, your shares, your comments. Definitely appreciate it. Now to start with guys, let me give you a PSA about Remnant from the Ashes. It's actually been added to Xbox Game Pass, unfortunately just the console version. So if you do have friends that have Xbox and have Game Pass, definitely recommend it to them to check it out. Now to start with guys, what is Remnant from the Ashes? What is this game like? I would describe Remnant from the Ashes as a Dark Souls-like third-person shooter, where you either can play single player or with up to 2 other teammates for a 3-person co-op, where you take on hordes of monsters and face epic boss fights. Now you might be wondering what I mean when I refer to Dark Souls. Basically, avoiding damage by rolling or dodging is key because even the smallest enemies in Remnant can do a ton of damage to you and actually kill you. However, each enemy type has its own attack patterns, including the bosses, and once you learn them, the game gets much easier. However, even when you learn the strategies, you still have to keep a measure of focus because one wrong move and you're dead. Now as far as the gameplay loop, what is Remnant like? What does it play like? So Remnant from the Ashes combines an action RPG similar to like Diablo 3, so it has a progression system, you gain new skills, new weapons, etc. So it combines an action RPG with that high risk, high reward type gameplay that you find in Dark Souls. So next you might be wondering, what are the key components of Remnant from the Ashes? To start with, its challenge. In Remnant, you're going to find rewarding combat, epic boss fights, and meaningful loot. So one component of Remnant's combat is that Remnant from the Ashes features procedurally generated environments and enemy spawns. So it isn't so much like Minecraft where it just randomly creates a world. They have different tiles that can be put together. I don't know how many tiles they have, 3 or 4. So every time you play through a level in Remnant, it's going to look a little bit different. Along with that, the enemy spawns are random. And from what I understand there's actually an AI director in the game that kind of watches how you do. So if you do really, really well, it'll start pouring more big elite enemies at you. Another key component to Remnant from the Ashes is that all the weapons, all the armor sets, all the trinkets, rings, etc. are legendary weapons. And what this means is that every drop you get in this game is going to be meaningful and has a purpose. A good comparison would be the exotic armors and different weapons in Destiny. How, like the Galahorn and the certain armors are good for specific nightfalls, specific environments. Remnant does the same thing, where if you pick up a new weapon, it may not seem like it has a purpose right now, but there is a specific purpose for that weapon in the game. Now you're going to be rewarded certain armor sets, certain weapons, certain trinkets, etc. just by exploring the world, but you're also going to get them as rewards by killing certain bosses, and certain bosses also have ult kills that you can do to get certain weapons. And you also get them through special missions where you'll have multiple different things you have to do in order to, get these new pieces of gear. Another key component to Remnant from the Ashes is managing your health, your mods, your armor set, etc. So in Remnant, because enemies can do so much damage, managing your health, your mods, which are essentially like your magic or your supers in Destiny, and also your armor set for the specific boss, world, enemies, elites, etc. is very meaningful. Now a deeper level to this is when you're playing co-op, because synergizing your different loadouts with your teammates and also communicating during combat and especially during boss fights is very meaningful. Now that said, you can play with randoms without a mic, but it will be of course more difficult. Now your next question might be, how much game is there? How much gameplay can you get out of Remnant from the Ashes? Remnant was designed to be played over and over again, and it features over 23 different bosses with boss weapons as rewards, and some of the bosses also have different ways to kill them to get different loot from them. Along with this, Remanent also features 4 different worlds / biomes, and each one of those worlds has different weapons, different armor sets, trinkets to collect, 29 different mods, which are essentially magic or supers. Along with this, Remanent features 32 different traits, which are your passive abilities, and I believe the max level is 640 currently, and it also features 3 different difficulties. Now your next question might be about co-op. What's it like? How well does it work? Remanent actually features drop-in, drop-out co-op, which basically means you can join anyone, and the game does a reasonably good job of scaling difficulty. So for example, if you're trait level 5 and your friend is trait level 100, you're probably going to have a really tough time, but you are still going to be able to play together. So maybe if you're trait level 20 and they're trait level 30, you probably won't notice a big difference. Now along with that, playing co-op and Remanent, communication and synergizing your squad can make a significant difference, and I've honestly had the most fun playing co-op in this game since Destiny 1's Vault of Glass raid and Crota's raid and playing Prison of Elders. I've just had an amazing time playing with friends in here because communication and synergizing your different loadouts can make a significant difference, and honestly, on higher difficulties, I'm not sure if it's possible to beat it without it. Now, your next question about Remanent is, what platforms is it available for? Currently, it's available on PC via Steam. It's also available on PS4, Xbox, and Xbox Game Pass. Another question you might have is, does it have crossplay? And currently, it does not have crossplay. Another question you might have, does it have cross-save? So if you have it on PC, can you bring your character over to console? Unfortunately, it does not feature cross-save, which I would love personally because I love playing it on PC. Another question you might have is, do you have to be online to play Remnant from the Ashes? The answer is no. Your save file is actually offline, which means if you want to, and I wouldn't recommend this, but you can hack the game and give yourself all the loot. And again, like I said, I wouldn't recommend this because basically you ruin the game for yourself. But hey, it's your game, do what you want. The next question you might have is it repetitive? For me, I have over 100 plus hours into this game, and I plan to play it maybe 1,000 more. I love this game. Now, I have all the gear in the game, so I don't really play it just for recreation at this point. I'm pretty much letting it sit, waiting for more DLC. But I've enjoyed every minute of playing it and figuring out how to beat the different bosses and find all the hidden loot, all the hidden puzzles, finding all the ult kills for the bosses. Just had an amazing time with it. Another question you might have is, does Remanent have microtransactions or loot boxes? And I'm excited to say it does not feature microtransactions or loot boxes. So they haven't said they won't add microtransactions at some point, but they have promised that if they did, that they'll only be cosmetic, so no pay-to-win Call of Duty loot box BS. Now, as far as new content or DLC for Remnant from the Ashes, the developer Gunfire Games is planning to support and expand Remnant from the Ashes with both free and paid DLC moving forward. Now you might be wondering, what do they mean by free updates and paid DLC, etc. So up to this point, free DLC has meant new game modes, like they've added hardcore mode, adventure mode, and they've also talked about adding more difficulties and continuing to fix and improve the game. As far as paid DLC, they've talked about new biomes, which means new worlds, which would have new enemies, new elites, new bosses, new weapons, potentially new traits, etc. Now you might be wondering, how often does this game get updated? They've actually been updating Remnant from the Ashes quite a bit. Now it has slowed down a little bit since launch, and it launched back at the end of August. Seemed like they were doing a new update every week. Another question you might be wondering, does Remnant have a content roadmap? And yes, it does, but it's actually kind of vague, and I'll show it to you on screen right now. I actually did another video on this, and you'll see the card pop up in the right hand corner of the screen if you want to check out, my speculation and also the information I have about their content roadmap. Now, as far as controls go, I would say they're actually really solid. I play on Xbox One X with a controller, and it's really good. As far as the sound goes in Remnant from the Ashes, overall I'd say it's solid. It does have good sound cues for the different enemies in the world, which is really important in a game like this because you have to have awareness of where the enemies are and also when they're going to do their attacks, and this game does a really good job of that. In addition, it does have a solid soundtrack. Another question you might have is, does Remnant from the Ashes have a story/campaign? And the answer again is yes, and it does have a significant amount of lore tied into it. As far as how long does it take to finish the campaign, I'd say it depends on your play style. For me, when I played by myself, it took quite a bit longer, and when I played with other people, it seemed like it went quite a bit faster. Now, the nice thing about Remnant is it actually requires multiple playthroughs to find all the armor sets, to get all the mods, to find all the bosses, etc. Because it has that randomized nature to it, you might not get a boss that you're looking for on a certain playthrough, so you might have to find them in adventure mode, or maybe even start the game from scratch again. Now, as far as graphics go, I'm playing on Xbox One X, and it's supposedly 4K 30 frames a second. Now on PC, obviously you can play at 60 frames or uncapped if you want to, which, if you have the choice, obviously you want to do that. Now finally, would I recommend Remnant from the Ashes? I would say if you enjoy challenging gameplay that is also very rewarding, I would highly recommend Remnant from the Ashes. Honestly, I think this is the best game I've played in maybe 3 or 4 years, and the most fun I've had playing co-op since Destiny 1.